Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is Henry, producer Henry, called this Splashes, Superlatives. I'm all for it. I love the idea. So I am combining all three of my weekly recaps: quarterback power rankings, team of the week, team power rankings, all in one, and maybe a little bit of a Thursday night preview later tonight. So before we hop in, make sure you guys like the stream, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want, send us a super chat. Henry will pop it up, and I'll get back to questions when I finish each section. So without further ado, let's get into QB 32. That is Mr. Justin Fields. Let me take down the banner because it's blocking where he was last week. There we go. He was number 29 last week. He's 32 this week, and we're going to try to move through these pretty quickly. It wasn't all Fields' fault. Matt Nagy called one of the worst game plans I've ever seen. And I said this on the app. Justin Fields plus Chicago's offensive line is a match made from hell. This is the worst possible matchup. Even there are worse offensive lines. There are worse quarterbacks. But matching up Fields, who is deliberate in his processing, and an offensive line that gets beat so routinely quickly, not good. So this is more of a Matt Nagy ranking than a Justin Fields ranking. I will be honest there. So Fields will move up at some point, but he was atrocious. Davis Mills, this was the most boring game plan I've ever seen in my life. If I had $1 for every halfback mid-draw, exactly the same play from Madden, halfback mid-draw, I could have bought the Houston Texans. Holy Christmas. This was such a boring offense. It's Brandon Cooks and not a whole lot else. Davis Mills was very boring. He did some cool things when he wasn't pressured, but Carolina was getting a lot of pressure. So there's that. He's what do you want? Number 30, Trevor Lawrence. 9 turnover-worthy plays in 3 weeks. That's not good. 3 a week. 3 every week. A sub 50 PFF grade. Look, I know people don't like PFF, but he's been bad. Lawrence has been bad. There has been some flashes. He had one amazing throw, corner of the end zone, DJ Chark. It actually, ironically, very close to what Rodgers did to MVS against the Niners, but perfect throw there. I think that was his big-time throw. But there's too many mental errors, and pump the brakes on the hate. Eventually, he's going to be good, but as of right now, not very good. Same thing with Zach Wilson. You see the 7 interceptions. You see the 51 rating. I do want to point out that no team since the 1998 Chargers has finished with a lower passer rating than that, 51.8 or 51.6, sorry. It's a mess. It's going to get better, Jets fans. You're not going to play top 5 defense every single week. Moving on, 28, Taylor Heineke. Somehow signed with Bud Light, not Heineken. Big L to Heineken. It wasn't pretty against Buffalo, and Buffalo is not like the best defense by any means. 3 turnover-worthy plays, no big-time throws. A lot of that production, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. About half of the yardage in one of the touchdowns came on an Antonio Gibson screen that went like 78 yards. So he's okay. He has some of that. He has some magic in him, but he's going to have some strong week-to-week volatility. We have Ben Roethlisberger next. It's just bad. It is just atrocious. More turnover-worthy plays than big-time throws. He can't move. He can't really push the ball down the field. And notice the 58 pass attempts. Pittsburgh, what are you doing? You just drafted a running back in the first round. Why aren't you using it? Actually, they are using him. I think Najee Harris was targeted 19 times in this game. Absolutely ridiculous. I have no idea what Pittsburgh's doing. Number 26, Carson Wentz. I shouldn't have taken him out last week. I didn't think he was going to start. He did start, but I don't want to talk about Wentz. I want to talk about Indianapolis. Why are you playing Wentz? You were going to lose that game more than likely, right? Why? What's the point of starting Wentz? Because if you start Wentz and you lose that game like they did, you're going to have to give your pick to the Eagles, right? It's, I think, a 75% cutoff if the Colts miss the playoffs, which they're looking like they will. If they miss the playoffs and Wentz plays 75% of the games, your first-round pick goes to Philly. Your top 20 pick, top 18 pick goes to Philly. Why are you playing Wentz? Just if you're going to have a game plan like you did where he didn't do anything, he hasn't had a turnover-worthy play yet. If you have a game like that, why are you putting Wentz in? Eason can do that. Not Jacoby Brissett. Brett Hundley can do that. why bother putting Wentz in? If you're going to, I don't know, if you're within that range of like 70 to 80% of snaps played, this could have been a huge difference. Is he healthy? Sure. But I wouldn't have risked it. He wasn't like bad. He was just like, okay. But I think Eason could have done that with the same game plan. I think Hundley could have done that with the same game plan. I don't know what Indianapolis is doing there. 25, Jalen Hurts. Man, I really want to like Jalen Hurts. I do like Jalen Hurts, but there were some issues against Dallas, and Dallas has improved defensively a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know, man. It's weird. Philly's weird. Hurts is weird. I didn't love what I saw Monday night. There were some good throws here and there. He had that one awesome drive. He hit Ertz and hit Goddard a couple times. It was nice, but he had some bad. He had a telegraphed interception, the pick six to Trayvon Diggs, who I'll talk about later. But I don't know. It's been a mixed bag so far for Hurts. He killed in Atlanta, but Atlanta is a terrible defense. Moving on, Jimmy Garoppolo. Notice he doesn't have a big-time throw. This is an NFL quarterback that has thrown about 100 passes, if not more. He has 0 big-time throws. Turnover-worthy plays, I can live with. There are guys in my top 10 that have more turnover-worthy plays. I think one of them does. But Garoppolo is just getting – everything is schemed for Garoppolo. And I get why you might want to start Garoppolo over Lance, San Francisco. I get it. But – I don't know. There's value in what Garoppolo brings in just like a floor, but he hasn't been great. He's just like an average quarterback. Matt Ryan has been a train wreck, an absolute unadulterated train wreck. I don't look at the stats in the bottom left. They're totally misleading. A 111 pass rating when he was awful for 4 quarters. Arthur Smith, what are you doing? Matt Ryan has been like Ben Roethlisberger light, essentially. Roethlisberger's been like the epitome of trash. Matt Ryan has been ugh. Jameis Winston, it's just been weird. New Orleans is a great defense, so they're going to win some games, but it's not because of Jameis. Even week 1.
Flash, I just got off a podcast. I'm here to destroy your Jameis Winston breakdown right here. Oh, are you really putting this guy up here?
I mean, he's a starting quarterback. Where would you put him?
31st, bro.
What, okay. Who would be 32 then?
Probably Justin Fields.
Okay. Yeah, Fields was terrible. I don't know. See, here's my thing with quarterbacks.
No, Winston's probably like 25 range-ish.
Yeah. My thing with quarterbacks is they come in clumps, and it's really hard. Am I 100% sure he's better than Matt Ryan? No. Am I 100% sure he's worse than Jacoby Brissett? No. But I have to rank them 1 to 32, and it's just how I feel. So Winston hasn't been great, but he's not turning the ball over as much as the guys below, and he hasn't been a catastrophe like Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger. So I spoiled 21. That's Jacoby Brissett. Again, not a great quarterback. I'm thinking if Miami runs the Jacoby Brissett offense with Tua Tagovailoa, it'll be good. But when you're running it with Jacoby Brissett, what are you doing? So the Tua offense is kind of very RPO heavy, and it's kind of like what Philly does with Hurts, and Hurts and Tua aren't the same quarterback. I just don't understand. Miami, get your head out of the gutter, please.
Miami needs to trade for Deshaun Watson right now.
Ooh, that'd be fascinating.
And I heard from someone, and I'll get off the show because I just bombarded your show. I'm sorry about this.
You're good.
Deshaun Watson, we have a little bit of an in, and Deshaun Watson does not want to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. So there was actually a trade offer on the table for him to go to the Eagles, which he turned down. Deshaun is interested in playing in Miami and the New York Jets, but we're with the Zach Wilson band here. So that's not going to happen. But yeah, Deshaun Watson is not interested in going to Philly, but is interested in going to the Dolphins for sure. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. The only reservation I would have with the midseason trade is that it's kind of like the Sam Bradford year when he went to Minnesota. You can't start him immediately because he doesn't know the playbook. like you need to have a baseline knowledge to function as an NFL quarterback. And as good as Deshaun Watson is, I don't think he can pick up a new playbook in let's say, for the sake of argument, he gets traded after Miami plays Baltimore on Thursday Night Football. He gets traded that Friday, and he has 10 days to learn the playbook. I don't think he's starting the next week. Like, you have to learn your teammates. That's the only issue that I have with Miami trading for him. And I do like Tua.
Well, he might he could even get suspended. So
that's true.
He has a looming suspension. But I think what's happening is sort of like the sort of what baseball did with the Andy Pettis of the world. They're actually allowing they're letting Deshaun Watson sit the Texans, basically saying, like, we'll suspend him for you. Like, we won't play him. So, like, if the Texans were going to come out and roll out Deshaun week 1, he may have faced a 6 to 8 game suspension. The Texans are like, we're just going to sit him for 6 to 7 games. We might want to bring him back and activate him. You all suspend him for 1 or 2, and we can kind of get out of this quietly. Gotcha. But that is actually happening. Like, they're kind of like being proactive in terms of sitting Deshaun.
Right. For sure. Yeah, it's a sticky subject. Because Houston would be better with Deshaun, of course, but Deshaun doesn't want to play for Houston. So,
yeah.
Who knows? So, yeah.
It's criminal, man. I feel, you know what he did was, I guess, criminal in a sense as well. But the guy's like, so he's got to move on with his life. This guy's like depressed. I'm sure the women that had to deal with this are depressed as well about the situation. I think at this point we have to just, as a society, talk about it. I wish Deshaun would have had a press conference, admit to it, admit what happened. Say, I was going to get massages and I took my pants down and wanted the girl to jerk me off or something. I don't freaking know. Let's just have an honest talk. So Andy Pettit did it when he was on HGH. He said, hey, I took HGH. I know I did. I apologize. I cheated. Can we move on from this? The world's everything today is about hiding, and we're all not perfect. And I think the more that we hide, and it's to the Texans' fault too. The Texans should go out there and say, listen, Deshaun, instead of it being you versus us, we're with you on this in terms of your work. Can we set up a press conference and get this all laid out on the table? Right. I mean, it's got to be a joint effort. It's just, it's ridiculous. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake.
Yeah,
he didn't kill anybody. No one. He didn't abduct a child. He didn't steal money from people. Yeah, he did a terrible thing. I agree, but at some point, can we just have a conversation, get everything laid out from both ends, and just move on? But I guess the world we live in today, it happens across a multitude of sectors. Nobody tells the truth. It goes from politics to social life to sports. Nobody tells the truth, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, if Watson is cleared or can come back and play football, I love watching him play. So there's that. But at the end of the day, there are some ramifications for his actions. So whatever those ramifications may be, serve a sentence and, play football again one day, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. All right, Splash, I'm going to be toast. I just did a Time to BS podcast recording with Dan. It was actually a really interesting podcast. Nice. I was surprised that Dan came out fire and he was asking me all sorts of questions. So
yeah, he's great.
And Henry, I know you're in the production room. We'll talk about getting timeout and everything back up and running. I'm going to start getting the live stuff rolling again. We've been a little bit in shambles in terms of getting that back, but we'll figure it out, brother.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for coming on with some breaking news. Always a pleasure to have you on and to
Splash,
talk
you're the go. Yes, I literally, it's funny. I actually popped in when I saw Winston up and I'm like, is Splash really having a Jameis Winston show here? Oh my God. It was like when we were doing the NBA free agency, you kept talking about Wayne Ellington. I'm like, you want to have a Wayne Ellington show? I mean, like you would have a show, Wayne and Winston, you should call it. You would love that. Yeah. You would be all in that show.
Yeah, that's too funny. Yeah, I'm just rolling through some quarterback rankings before Thursday night.
All right, brother. I'm out of here. And
All right,
Joe
yeah.
Mixon first touchdown tonight. Y'all betters out there. Joe Mixon.
Okay, Frankie called
31.
it. Joe Mixon first touchdown tonight. What's the odds on that?
31.
I don't know, plus 250?
Yeah, probably not that great. He's probably like one of the favorites, but hey.
Yeah. And maybe
get some
Joe
bread
Burrow.
for it.
You did hit on a couple quarterbacks last year. You had that ridiculous Sam Darnold run against Denver. I think you had Wentz in a game.
I had Sam Darnold for first touchdowns. I had Sam Darnold for first touchdown for $25 to at like I think plus 2,800. I won $2,000 or something. Then I had 2 nights later on Sunday Night Football, I think because it was Thursday and Sunday. Then on Sunday, I did the same bet with Wentz, and I won another 2,000. So I basically won $4,000 in 3 days just off these first touchdown quarterback bets. And I told my friend to make it the other night, and he won. He did the Daniel Jones first touchdown. And I had it linked on my freaking site, and I just got distracted with some work chat. I was talking to Javier, and I just like the game started, and I was like, oh, yep.
Tough. Yep. You hate to see that. And, of course, I can't really do that with Lamar Jackson. I am wearing the shirt.
Oh, let's go. That shit's sick. I haven't seen someone wear it yet.
Yeah, I was gonna do it when I got to Lamar in the quarterback section.
Dude, that shit is dope. You have to take a picture. We got to throw it on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Dude, that shirt's sick.
Yeah, I love it.
It looks. I actually like that shirt better than the Zach Wilson. The Wilson one's a little bit big.
Like, I haven't seen the Wilson one in person, so
it's a little bit. The print's a bit big, but that's pretty sick.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. Good luck, Henry. You're the best.
Peace.
Talk to you guys soon later.
Yeah, thank you. So that was Frankie. Let's jump back into the quarterbacks. We have Jared Goff at number 20. He was fine against Baltimore. Nothing too crazy. Just at a certain point, Detroit just started spamming DeAndre Swift late in the game. So that's why the game ended up 19-17. I'll talk about it later. But Goff is a solid quarterback. Nothing more to say. Mac Jones is weird. Yes. 3 interceptions. One of them was a tipped pick 6. Jonnu Smith had it in his hands and then decided, I don't feel like catching. Here, Malcolm Jenkins. Here's a free touchdown. So he was better than the stats, but he wasn't like great or anything. So Jones has been kind of like consistent, kind of like okay, kind of conservative, like a Davis Mills is like the Walmart version of Mac Jones so far. I don't know. It's been whatever. Sam Darnold has been impressive. 18. He's moving up. He was 32 to start the season. My only issue is the fumbles. Clean up the fumbles, and you might see Darnold in the top 15, which is scary. But he's been good. I have nothing to complain about besides the fumbles. He lost the one fumble, but against Houston, 2 strip sacks. You gotta figure out the pocket presence. Speaking of pocket presence, Daniel Jones has done a good job of figuring out the fumbles. He's not getting strip sacked as often. It happens from time to time, yes, but he's generally been good, and he's not the reason the Giants are 0-3, which is, as a Giants onlooker here, it sucks because you're not winning with Jones, but Jones isn't the problem. So you can roll it out next year and say, yeah, Daniel Jones wasn't the reason why we're losing. And that's not a great spot to be in. Number 16, Teddy Bridgewater. Jones and Bridgewater just swap places. Bridgewater's been good. He's not turning the ball over. He's been efficient. He's, pushing the ball down the field to some degree. He has lost a couple of his weapons. KJ Hamler's out for the year. Jerry Jeudy's out for a long time. But he's been good. He's been solid. He's been better than I think Drew Lock would have been. Although I think with this offense and with the slate of defenses early on, Drew Lock could have been okay. But, Bridgewater has been a good NFL quarterback so far. And now this is the cutoff. Above Bridgewater, we have Joe Burrow. We have the 15 best quarterbacks. 32 to 7 or 32 to 16, you can organize them however the heck you want because it changes every week. 15 and up, again, you can organize them however the heck you want, but it's 15 to 1. I don't think I'm going to get much pushback from this, but Joe Burrow was unreal against Pittsburgh. And when he had time to throw, in his career, when he's had time to throw, he has been clinical. He has been a great processor. He is delivering deep balls now. He has more 20-yard touchdowns, 20 air yard touchdowns, and he had all of last season. He has 3, all of them to Jamar Chase. He was unreal. I know he had an interception, one bad throw out of a whole game out of 18. Burrow was looking really good and would be higher if any of these top 14 guys had stumbled. Ryan Tannehill did not stumble. He wasn't as good as he was against Seattle. He did have 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Neither of them, I think, were particularly his fault. But, it was a solid game for Tannehill. Nothing really to complain about. Even without his number 1 and number 2 receivers, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. So what are we going to see moving forward? Who knows? Number 13, Kirk Cousins. Again, everyone in the top 15, organize it however the heck you want. I know there's guys on the app. I know there's guys out there. Yeah, Cousins is a top 10 quarterback. What are you doing, Splash? I'm not telling you he's not a top 10 quarterback. I'm just telling you he's a top 15 guy for sure. And if he's in your top 10, that's fine by me. I'm cool with it. MVP candidate, I'm cool with it. Hasn't thrown a pick yet. 118 rating overall. He's been rocking and rolling. And if the Vikings were a fumble away from winning week 1 and a 37-yard field goal away from winning week 2. The Vikings really should be 3-0. Number 12, Baker Mayfield. He's falling. Why? Because other guys are just going out there and balling. Mayfield was good against Chicago. He didn't have to do a whole lot, but did enough. 3 big-time throws, moved the ball, get it to Kareem Hunt, get it to Odell Beckham is back. I'll talk about that when I get to the power rankings. I like what I see from Baker, and he just happens to be a good quarterback in an era with 15 good quarterbacks, and a year with 15 good quarterbacks. Derek Carr, again, he's falling, not because of his play, because of other guys. 4 big-time throws. He has the most in the NFL with 13 on the season. Didn't have a turnover-worthy play this week. Did throw a pick 6, but it's more of a Landon Roberts with a great play. I'll talk about Roberts more later. Did throw an interception. It happens. He leads the NFL in passing yards for what that's worth, 1,200 yards already. He's averaging 400 yards a game. That's insane. He's been great. Number 10, Justin Herbert. Herbert was spectacular. He was the best quarterback on the field against Patrick Mahomes. That's hard to do. This is actually, I would say the 3rd time in a row that Mahomes has been outplayed, but that's beside the point. I'll talk about more Mahomes later. But didn't have a big time throw, didn't have a turnover-worthy play. But I'll take it with Herbert because his baseline, his average play is so good that as long as you're not turning the ball over or putting the ball in bad spots like he did last week, 4 big-time throws, 3 turnover-worthy plays against Dallas, I'll take it with Herbert. 4 touchdowns, 281 yards, 125 rating. I love what I see from Herbert, and he's going to continue to rise. Number 9, Matt Stafford. Didn't have a great first quarter, and then he had Deshaun Jackson, and then the rest of the game he was ice cold. It was unreal. The PFF grade's a little deflated because he wasn't great in the first quarter, wasn't great early on. That's fine, but 343, 4 tutties, hit on the long one to Deshaun Jackson. He's what the Rams needed. He's better than Goff, and he's exactly what they needed. 9 touchdowns, 1 pick so far. Beautiful. Number 8, Josh Allen. He's back, folks. He was not great the first 2 weeks, and then, boop, he's back. Josh Allen is back. He's number 8 because, again, the 7 guys ahead of him didn't stumble. But this is where you get into the chess game that, is he better than number 7? Is he better than number 6? Is he better than number 5? Well, maybe, but I'll take him at 8 here. If you have him higher, that's cool. If you have him lower, that's cool too. 3 big-time throws, 1 turnover we play, 5 total touchdowns, over 350 yards of offense. He was great. He really terrorized Washington. He was under pressure a lot too, was firing howitzers. He had 1 beautiful throw, left corner of the end zone to Emmanuel Sanders. Sanders caught 2 touchdowns. Yeah, big props to Allen for answering. Number 7, Kyler Murray. Only 1 big-time throw, only 1 turnover-worthy play. Did have the rushing touchdown, which, before you say anything, the 61.2 rushing grade, what was he supposed to do? He was no one on Jacksonville prepared for that, it seemed like. So I don't know what Jacksonville was doing there. It's a walk-in touchdown. Kyler's not going to get a 90 grade for a walk-in touchdown. Did have a pick. Just clean it up. All you got to do, clean it up. He's had 1 turnover-worthy play in each game. Just clean it up. He'll be fine. Number 7. Number 6, we got Lamar Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, go back. If you have Game Pass, watch Ravens-Lions. Lamar Jackson probably had the best game of his career as a passer. He's had better games maybe overall, but as a passer, he was clinical. Stats aren't going to show it. 16-31. Well, he only completed 3% of his passes. There's 4 drops in there. 287 yards. Again, those drops coming back. Those are a couple long touchdowns. Only 1 touchdown. He only had 1 touchdown. If Marquis Brown could hold on to the football, the Ravens win this game by 3 scores, and Lamar has nearly 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, maybe even 4 touchdowns. Lamar was spectacular. And yeah, it's Detroit. I get it. He's probably not going to do that against Denver, but you saw it. You saw it in the bag. When the defense fails, Marquis Brown was cooking folks. I get it with the drops, but this offense seems to have found something. And also, Lamar Jackson flip, my Lamar Jackson flip. So you can find this on the uSTADIUM store. Just check out the app, and boom, it's there. Dak Prescott coming in at number 5. He was good against Philly. He wasn't unreal. It's just a good performance, what the number 5 quarterback does. You know, he's not going to be elite every single week, but he's going to be good every single week. So big props to Dak. Did have a fumble in the end zone. It happens. Javon Hargrave has been fantastic this season. So it happens. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Number 4, we have Tom Brady. I think the big time throws, turnover-worthy plays, a little goofy this week because he did get strip sacked by Donald. I don't know why that wasn't called a turnover-worthy play, whatever, but per PFF, 12 big time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays. I would have said probably 12-1, maybe 12-2. He's been great. He's going to break the passing yards record against New England in a couple days. Congratulations. And I think he's still PFF's highest overall quarterback. So for what that's worth, cool. I'm kind of cooling on my Brady for MVP take that I had last week, but you know, he might be in play. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Number 3, Russell Wilson. This is not his fault that he falls a spot. He was fine against Minnesota. It was just a weird game. Seattle plays in these weird games that you know, they're allow an extra touchdown here. Madison goes for 112 yards here. It's like, what's going on? You know, 298 yards, touchdown, no picks, no fumbles. Again, just like Dak, just a fine game. He didn't necessarily ball out, but it wasn't a bad game by any means. Aaron Rodgers is back. He was special. Like, this is quintessential Aaron Rodgers against San Francisco. 37 seconds, no timeouts. Ding, ding, ding. Boom, boom, boom. Packers win. 261 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was trying to force feed Devontae Adams, but the thing is, some force feeding, like say Ben to Najee and Claypool, okay, Ben's not putting in the best spot every single time. Aaron Rodgers is pinpoint, ping, 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 ping. It was beautiful. I think he probably deserved higher than an 81.8 overall grade, 82.8 passing grade. 5 big-time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays. That is quintessential Aaron Rodgers. Let's have the Mahomes conversation. 3 weeks, Mahomes, I don't think has outplayed his quarterback adversary any of those games. As a passer, he probably outperformed Lamar, but Lamar was so clinical as a runner that I don't think it matters. The stats are good. He's averaging 310 yards a game, 3 touchdowns a game. He's on pace for, 5,100 yards and 50 touchdowns. Congratulations. He has a 111.7 rating. Congratulations. A couple turnovers have been fluky. I will admit that. But the problem with Mahomes right now is that Mahomes knows he's the best quarterback in the NFL, or at least number 2. And he is forcing the issue so much. They had like a no-look pass, like your 4th string tight end, picked. Okay, cool, great. Why are you doing that? If Mahomes took a second to breathe and played the game more like any other quarterback, Mahomes would be unstoppable. But Mahomes, it's a little bit of the too much hero ball, and sometimes it works, and it usually works. That's the special thing about Mahomes, that the hero ball always works, and he's number 1 for a reason. But if he chills out with the hero ball and he plays more like he did against Buffalo in the AFC title game, you are not getting a better quarter. That is, him against Buffalo is the best I've ever seen Mahomes, and it's one of the best performances I've ever seen by a quarterback. And he wasn't, doing usual Mahomes things. That's the funniest part, that he was so clinical. He took the issue that he's had the last couple of weeks is that the Chargers and Ravens played him really well. That just keep a lid on the top. Just keep a lid on the top. Don't let anything screwy happen. Don't let Hill score an 80-yard touchdown like Cleveland allowed. When you do that, Mahomes needs to adapt, and he hasn't shown me that he can adapt yet. So with that said, there's my 32 quarterback rankings, or my 32 quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks. Nothing to complain about. Again, I have them really two two general tiers. I call it two general tiers. You have 32 to 17 or 32 to 16. They're all equivalent to me, that you can make a case that any guy can go way up high, way down low, whatever it may be. If you think Jameis is too high, that's fine. Do you think Jacoby Brissett should be lower? That's fine. That's fine. I'm down to change that. These are gut instincts. They change every week for a reason. So with that said, let's move on. We have a familiar face coming up with the team of the week. Josh Allen. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. He was killer. 5 total touchdowns, 358 passing yards. Got that grade in the 80s from PFF, 3 big-time throws. He was great. Nothing to complain about with Allen. And he is going to earn a Pro Bowl spot in the AFC. I would take 3 quarterbacks. So as of right now, I would go Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Herbert. You can throw in maybe Herbert over Mahomes, oddly enough. Carr you can throw in as well. There's 5 guys available, and I would say Allen is trending in the right direction. Running back Kareem Hunt, 155 scrimmage yards, 1 touchdown, graded out in the 90s, 7 total missed tackles. It was special. And you're always going to run into this issue because the Browns have both Nick Chubb, who's a top 10 back, and Kareem Hunt, who's a top 10 back, that you're not going to get, there's not going to be many days that both of them are like top 5 running backs, but both of them are so good that you're going to get like 10 games that one of them is a top 5 back. And it's special to watch. This week it was Hunt. He torched a good Bears defense. I don't love the Bears defense, but whatever. He was awesome. Love to see that. Now we get the trio of wide receivers. Justin Jefferson, 9 catches, 118 yards, touchdown. Did have a drop, but the drops, if you're getting targeted as much as Jefferson or is targeted as much as my wide receiver 3, I'll deal with the drop. It's an issue when you have 5 targets and 2 drops, Marquis Brown. So 88.5 overall grade, 86.9 receiving grade, 1 for 1 uncontested catches. He was great. Second straight year that he just balls out in week 3. Mike Williams. He was the number 7 pick in 2016 for a reason. Or was it 2017? I think it was 2017 because he's on his 5th year option right now. Mike Williams is an incredible asset when he's playing well. And he is a perfect fit with Justin Herbert with his ability to high point the football down the field, big chunks, 7 catches for $122 and 2 touchdowns. Did have a drop. Cool. Typo on the drop, but I don't have anything to complain about. He is your prototypical wide receiver 1, that Kenny Golladay mold, that Allen Robinson mold, that Cortland Sutton mold, DeAndre Hopkins mold, and he is a beast. This is why you drafted him in the top 10 Chargers, and it took 5 years, but here he is. We have a star receiver in the making. And then Devontae Adams, need I say more? 12 for 132, touchdown. It was 18 targets, something like that. So I'll deal with the drop. 91 PFF grade. This is what being at the top of your game looks like. It was a sensational game. It was I'm the best receiver in the NFL game. I would take Hill, but Adams was sensational. Tight end, Mark Andrews. I think Alex said it on the app. It's time for the Mark Andrews 100 yards and a touchdown game. Didn't have a touchdown, but 5 for 109. No touchdowns, no drops. Led all tight ends in yards. Usually, and let me do some philosophy talk here. This is more about production than grade necessarily, because Kelsey and Kittle and maybe another tight end, I don't remember who, graded out better than Andrews. That's fine. But I'll take 109 yards over 104 yards for this week. And defensively, same ordeal when I get to the defense, that I'm going to look at production first, then grade. Like if you have a pick 6, you're in the team. If you score 2 touchdowns, Mike Williams style, and have 100 yards, you're in the team. So Mark Andrews wins the spot, 5 for 109. And first of a couple Ravens on this list, oddly enough. Left tackle, I can't believe it either. Andrew Thomas graded out really well. I do want to say that Tyron Smith had a spectacular game, but I made this before Tyron Smith had his spectacular game. So I might do some retconning there like I did with Max Crosby week 1, because I make this before Monday Night Football because I have to have it sent off for publication. Tyron Smith was great. Andrew Thomas was really good. Like, this is, I think, the best game he's played as a pro against Atlanta. Yeah, it's Atlanta, but really sturdy in pass protection, really sturdy in run block. Coming out party for Andrew Thomas. Congratulations. We have another Raven. I was very close to saying both Powers and Ben Cleveland would get this spot, and they combined for about 60 snaps. Powers gets it. They're only 36 snaps, but no pressures allowed. 87 grade, 86 pass blocking, 82 run blocking. He was great. He's been, reasonable for 3 games. This is what Baltimore needs, because Alejandro Villanueva has been a turnstile in 2 out of 3 games, but the interior has been great. Speaking of the interior, Bradley Bozeman at center did allow a pressure, but was a stellar run blocker, creating lanes for Lamar and the variety of running backs. Bradley Bozeman, he played left guard first few years in the NFL, was a center at Alabama. He's back playing his natural position, and he has been nothing short of awesome. So big props to Bradley Bozeman for coming out and, playing a new position and just balling out. Okay, we got right guard Austin Corbett, no pressures, 83.8 overall grade, 88.7 pass block, 77.1 run block. I'll talk about Tampa's pass rush when I get to Tampa in the power rankings, but what Corbett did against a talented interior, this is Vea, this is Sue, this is the edges as well. He was great. Nothing to complain about with Corbett. And when you're that good against that kind of competition, you deserve to be here. Right tackle, Jack Conklin. It was very close week 1. Wasn't great week 2, but he was like this close to making it week 1. I took Rob Havenstein over him, but just a special performance against Chicago. A good pass rush. Said, nope. 82.9 pass block rate, 88.9 run block rate. He's been a fantastic run blocker all season. Great to see it. He would make my all-pro team. So I will, some background on the right side, top right of the screen, I have where I would vote this player. So things like MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, all pro spots, Pro Bowl spots. So through 3 weeks, there's going to be some screwiness. I get it. I might think about publishing that. I do post on the app every week, but Jack Conklin would be my all pro right tackle at the moment. Speaking of, next guy's an all pro, but Daron Payne, 11 pressures. If you have 11 pressures, you're essentially sure to make the team. I know he didn't get a sack. I get it, but I know he didn't grade out all that well. But 11 pressures against Buffalo. He turned Cody Ford. Cody Ford had one of the worst games I've ever seen. 12 pressures allowed. That's worse than Villanueva and Stanley week 1 against Vegas. So Payne was a pain for Buffalo to block. He was great. I know he didn't get home on anything, but 11 pressures speaks for itself. Aaron Donald, welcome back. He was here last week, so he is the second of 2 guys that have made back-to-back teams. 88 pass rush grade, actually his lowest of the season, 90.1 overall grade. A sack, 2 solo tackles, 1 TFL, 1 QB hit, pass deflection. Did force a fumble on Tom Brady. That's impressive. 5 overall pressures. It's Aaron frickin' Donald, man. He trains with knives. Myles Garrett, here's my defensive player of the year pick. 4.5 sacks against Chicago. I know it's Chicago, 8 pressures, 6 solos, 4 TFLs, a 90 flat grade, 91.2 pass rush grade. This is the Myles Garrett that we've all been waiting for. This is just the talent on full display, the technique on full display, the athleticism on full display. This is why he's the number 1 pick. This is why a lot of people picked him for defensive player of the year. This is why he's my number 1 for defensive player of the year right now. He was otherworldly. It's one of the best games by an edge I've seen in a long time. He was great. Speaking of edges, Joey Bosa, 10 pressures, did have more. Garrett only had 8. Bosa had 10. Harold Landry also had 10 pressures. I think a couple of his came unblocked, so I'll give the edge to Bosa, but Harold Landry was great. He was probably edge 3 this week. Bosa didn't grade out particularly well. It's only a 79.2, only half a sack, but give me that 90.2 pass rush grade. 10 pressures speaks for itself, like Daron Payne. Joey Bosa has been unreal so far. Speaking of unreal, all-pro pick Shaq Thompson. Remember the name, folks. He has been playing. He is the best linebacker in football so far this year. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, Seattle. I don't want to hear it, Buffalo. Shaq Thompson has been the best linebacker in football this year. Was at it again this week. His second time in the team of the week. 87.7 overall grade. 80, just all around spectacular performance against Houston. He was flashing. Turn on 5 minutes of Game Pass, and he was all over the field. He was unbelievable. Again, I said it with Mark Andrews. Production matters. If you have an 85-yard pick six, congratulations, you're in the team, unless like two other guys did. So graded out in the 50s, congratulations. I don't really care. He's not going to make my Pro Bowl team. He's not going to make my All-Pro team because he had a pick six, but he's going to make my team of the week because he picked six Derek Carr. So congratulations to Landon Roberts. Byron Murphy, second time in the team of the week. This time he did have a pick six, 2 total interceptions, 90.5 coverage grade, 87.5 overall grade. Byron Murphy has turned the corner, ladies and gentlemen. So he is making it worth that R2P33. So good stuff for Byron Murphy. Trayvon Diggs. This is the anti-Tyron Smith, anti-Max Crosby. I watched the game. Well, I watch all the games. I watched this game and said, I don't need PFF grade for this. I don't need what his coverage grade was. I don't need how many targets he allowed. I don't need any of that. Pick six, that'll do it for you. But even if he didn't have the pick six, let's say he picked it, Devontae Smith drags him down. Oh man, this is one of the best corner games I've seen. This is on par with what I've seen from Ramsey the last couple. Ramsey's just so consistent with the great games, but this is a spectacular cornerback game. He did as much as a cornerback can do in a game, just spectacular. 92 overall grade, 92.2 coverage grade. Even if he had 40s, he would have been in 3 pass defenses and a pick six. Safety 1, we got Justin Simmons. He victimized Zach Wilson. 91.3 overall grade, 88.1 in coverage. Run-of-the-mill stuff from Justin Simmons, back to what he does. Didn't have a great first 2 weeks, but was spectacular week 3. And we have the 4th Raven. Yeah, I know. A sack for Chuck. Chuck Clark had one of the most well-rounded games of the week. He and Shaq Thompson. 1 sack, 9 solos, 1 TFL, 1 QB hit. 87.8 PFF grade. 70+ in run defense, tackling, pass rush, and coverage. You love to see that. And he would be my all-pro safety. He and Marcus Williams. Actually, no, he and Derwin James and Marcus Williams would be my all-pro defensive back. So safety 3. So Clark's been fantastic. This is a defense that's been ravaged with injuries. Sean Elliott's missed a bunch of snaps. Marcus Peters is done for the year. Marlon Humphrey hasn't quite been Marlon Humphrey, but Chuck Clark is here, and he's been balling out. My last pick, Malcolm Jenkins. Again, pick 6. You earn a spot. 87 flat overall grade. 82 tackling, 82 coverage. Got the pick 6. Got another pass deflection later in the game. Malcolm Jenkins, really strong performance from the vet, the Super Bowl champion with the Eagles. So nothing to complain about with Mr. Malcolm Jenkins. Another great game for him. All right. So with that said, we have the quarterback rankings done that we did right at the beginning. We have the team of the week done, and now we are going to Zebra Splash. Hi. Now we're going to move into the power rankings. Let me just see if there's any comments I want to touch on. Bears offensive line couldn't stop anything. Agree. It was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Jalen Hurts, more like Jalen Ouch. I'm the funny one here, Henry. Frankie comes out of nowhere to debate. It happens. Frankie with the scoop. Yes, for sure. Chris Manhurt's going to score the first touchdown. I don't know what the odds are on that one. I don't know, maybe 4,500. That Mike Williams touchdown throw at the end wasn't a big time throw. If I recall correctly, I believe Williams was 1, open, 2, it wasn't like a super deep throw, and 3, I don't think he was under pressure. So good throw, but it's the difference between big time throw is like extraordinary, down the field, tight window, making something extra. I think most NFL quarterbacks can make that throw to Mike Williams. That's the thing. I guess most NFL quarterbacks can make most throws, but that's not a particularly like insanely difficult throw, if that makes sense. Also, I do want to point out that with the big time throws, it's not that throwing into tight windows is better than not throwing into tight windows, because I've been on this argument of, well, if your quarterback can throw a 15-yard pass that's very safe as opposed to a 30-yard pass that's not so safe, then take the 15 yards. Yes, but throwing that 30-yard pass overshadows your deficiencies with the receiver. So the receiver, in theory, should get open. But if he doesn't get open and you still complete the pass, good for the quarterback, right? You are overcoming a deficiency somewhere else on your team. So big props. Herbert was great. I have nothing to complain about. I wouldn't call it a big-time throw, but I wouldn't complain about the throw in any means. So with that said, let's jump into the final part of the show. We have some power rankings. And we have everyone's favorite team coming very, very soon. I wish this sun wasn't right in my eye, but that's okay. Number 32, the New York Jets. What was that? What was that, man? You've scored 20 points in 3 weeks. It's one of the worst offensive starts in the season ever. There is very little that has gone right for this team. Like, the defense has been okay. It's been passable. The offense has been a train wreck. And now I don't know. I don't really know what to say about this team. They suck in all regards. So do the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's really hard to find a positive. Actually, I screwed this up. I should have put the kick returner. Not Andre Roberts, Jamal Agnew. I should have put Jamal Agnew on here. That's the only positive, and that's the only reason why Jags 31, Jets 32. I promise you, these teams both suck. They might both be 0-14 when they play in week 16. So they both are trash. The Urban Meyer, it looks like one of the worst hires I've seen in a long time. Saleh, I don't know what's going on there. We've established these two teams are bad. The New York Giants, this is a tad unlucky. This is kind of an artifact of, I don't really want to, Atlanta's 29, by the way. I don't really want to put the Falcons over the Giants, but the Falcons did win and they held the Giants down. So yes, but if the Giants beat New Orleans and the Falcons lose to Washington, which both of those things could happen, I guess, the Giants are going to go skyrocketing up. This is, I don't know, man. I do feel bad for Daniel Jones. He's been playing well, but the team around him hasn't been playing well. They've lost back-to-back games by one possession, like last-second field goals. That sucks. They really could be 2-1, but they're 0-3. So, 29 Atlanta. This is a disgusting mess of it. This is a terrible team. Like, I talked about how the Jags and the Jets suck. Okay, at least they have a reason for sucking. There is talent on this Atlanta team, but they have been so bad in all aspects. They beat the Giants, but the offense was a train wreck. Arthur Smith, I don't know what you're doing. Get the ball to Kyle Pitts. Get the ball to Calvin Ridley. Get the ball to – they're actually being creative with Cordero Patterson, so shout out to that. But Matt Ryan has been awful. The defense held New York to 14, but they got there was, I believe, a couple turnovers. It's like, whatever. An ugly team all around. Number 28. Listen, I know they are 1-2, and I know they have a good defense, but the offensive performance that Matt Nagy, Justin Fields, and the offensive line put out there, look. If they beat Detroit, they're going to be right back up. But it was so bad. They gained one net passing yard. You know how many plays there were this week that involved gaining more than 1 yard? Probably hundreds of plays. I could look it up, but I don't want to distract. But what are you doing? This offense is so bad. There's no reason for a team with Allen Robinson and David Montgomery and competent Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. There is no reason for this team to be as bad as it is. And defensively, they're not awful. I don't think they're very good. They're good defensively. I just don't think they're elite. This is a mess. This is a hot mess. 27. And Jalen Hurts, what are you doing? I loved it. The offensive line is good. The defensive line is good, but they're starting to miss so many pieces. Jordan Mailata has played 1 out of 3 games. Samalo, who was on my team of the week last week, he got injured at the end of this game. Brandon Brooks is out. Brandon Graham is out on the defensive line. Like, come on now. Fletcher Cox is still good, but Javon Hargrave has been interior defensive lineman 3. Don't let me miss that. I should have put him in my pros, but this is, I don't know. They got whacked by Dallas. I'm not sure how good Dallas is, but ugly loss. The Philadelphia Eagles, 26 Houston. It's just because they give me a fight. I like what their defensive line is doing. I like that what Brandon Cooks is doing. There are things like, I don't like Davis Mills, but there are good things about this organization that David Culley is doing good things. Besides that 3rd and 15 that he declines the penalty, then punts, and I don't know what the heck he was thinking there, but yeah, they're going to get pummeled by Buffalo, but this isn't a catastrophe. Now they could be. This is a bad roster still, but they are at least functional. The teams below them are dysfunctional. Besides the Giants have just kind of been unlucky, but oh well. 25 Detroit. The Detroit Lions. Before you say, well, they probably should have beaten Baltimore. I don't care about the final score. They played well enough that I think they justify moving up a bit, and I think Baltimore did what Baltimore wanted to do. Detroit did what Detroit wanted to do. The final score was not indicative of that in the slightest because Marquis Brown had a couple drops and Justin Tucker missed an earlier field goal. And Detroit did a lot of good things in this game. They didn't win, and I didn't think they deserved to win. So I think the result is fair. The score is not fair. But Detroit fights, and there's some value in fighting. It's the same thing with Houston, that there is some value in this team is going to smack you in the mouth, and this team is going to have good offensive line play. Now, Houston doesn't have good offensive line play, but they have good defensive line play. Detroit has had good play in the trenches, and they've had Goff hasn't been terrible. DeAndre Swift has been fun. So there's some positives to build on, and this is a Detroit team that I think in a couple of years might be good. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be with Dan Campbell, but this team is moving in the right direction. I know they're 0-3. I know they're last place in the NFC North. I know they're on pace to get a top 5 pick, but they are moving in the right direction, and that's one thing that I value. 24, Washington is in a slide right now. The pass rush, you've had one guy get 10 pressures the last 2 weeks, Jonathan Allen week 2, Teron Payne week 3. Chase Young hasn't been Chase Young. The linebackers are whatever. The secondary is whatever. They got obliterated, lit on fire by Josh Allen. And that game really should have been a 29-point game, not a 22-point game, because Dustin Hopkins, I don't know how he kicked it up so far in the air that it the wind brought it back, and then he recovered his own kickoff. This is like 1916 Georgia Tech stuff. How do you catch your own kickoff? Well, he didn't technically catch it, but you get what I'm saying. Just, man, what are you, Washington? If the highlight of your game is Dustin Hopkins recovering his own kickoff, we have an issue. Oh man, it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch this team offensively. Heineke was a mess. Antonio Gibson, yeah, he had that one big play, but you can tell he's a college wide receiver, learning running back. So look, you have Atlanta, you can beat Atlanta, you'll be 2-2. Dallas plays Carolina, so there's a chance you'll be tied for the top of the NFC East. So congratulations. 23, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cameron Hayward has been awesome this year. Big Ben has been a train wreck. Okay, let me put it into perspective. This is a team known for its pass rush. They totaled 0 sacks for the first time in almost 5 years against the Bengals. The Bengals. Remember the Bengals with one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL? Yeah, the Steelers couldn't get anything going against Cincinnati. So almost every other team in the NFL has a better line than Cincinnati does. So that's scary. Yes, I know Watt was out. That's why they're 23. If Watt was here and maybe they got 1 or 2 sacks, even if they lose, they're probably not falling to 23 because losses happen, and I'm fine with that. But Watt's injured. Deontay Johnson is injured. Devin Bush has been in and out. Ben Roethlisberger has been awful. Minkah Fitzpatrick hasn't played very well. So a lot of the things that Pittsburgh usually has going for it, it's not working. Now, next week, they could beat Green Bay. I would be surprised, but if they beat Green Bay, then, they'll move right back up. So it happens. Miami at 22. Yeah, this is a Jacoby Brissett 2 thing. if you run the same darn freaking offense with Tua, I think you're very successful because he's a better I think he's a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett is. Shout out to Landon Roberts. Shout out to Xavier Howard. He's awesome. This offensive line is awful per usual. They lost in overtime to Vegas. I think that's more of a Vegas might not be as good as people think they are, even though they are moving up in my rankings. But Miami does have one of the easiest remaining schedules. I think they can beat Indianapolis, and then you'll be 2-2, and you'll be right in the thick of the playoff race. And that's a win over an AFC team. They beat New England early in the season, so you're moving in the right direction. But I don't know how good this team really can be. 21 Indianapolis, the Clots. Like I said with Carson Wentz in my quarterback power rankings, what are you doing? Just what are you doing? Why are you starting Wentz when he's not 100% healthy? You are just giving the Eagles a free draft pick. Well, you're giving them their second round anyways, but you are giving them, better return on investment because you are an inept organization. You made a bad business decision. Yeah, is Wentz better than Eason? Yes. Is Wentz better than Hundley? Yes. But is injured Wentz really worth starting over them? No. You could have run the exact same game plan. They get the exact same results. If you replace all of Carson Wentz's throws with Eason or Hundley, I think you get the same result. So I think that's a bad business move. The Colts might lose their first round pick because they wanted to play Carson Wentz in a meaningless Week 3 game. I know it's against Tennessee. I know he technically gives you the best chance to win, but injured Carson Wentz doesn't. Healthy Wentz, yeah, for sure. But I just didn't see it because the value that Wentz brings is totally nullified when you play him in a situation like this because he moves around, he extends the play, he finds things downfield, he converts on third downs. He did none of that. There was nothing special from Wentz. Eason could have done that. Hundley could have done that. Just all around, just bad for the Colts. I know they're moving up too, but this is more of a Pittsburgh falling, Washington falling, and Miami staying the same. Then the Colts are good. So the Colts are 0-3 for a reason. New England got to throw the L in there. This is just a bad offense. Jonnu Smith didn't play well. Mac Jones was okay. The defense is fine. There was a pick 6 in there, so 28 points is really unfair. 3 picks for Mac. So it's goofy. It's goofy. I know they're minus 10. I had them a little high. I will be totally honest. I had them a little too high. Gilmore's coming back in a couple weeks. I don't hate the defense, but they might get curb stomped by Tampa. Number 19, +6, the Bengals. They looked good against Pittsburgh. Joe Burrow was awesome. The pass catchers were great. And this is the thing. When you have a good quarterback that processes well and you put weapons around him and enough of an offensive line that he's not under siege every single snap, good Bengals offense. And this has been a good Bengals defense too. I know it's Pittsburgh, but 10 points is 10 points. So Trey Hendrickson has been really nice. Jesse Bates and Von Bell would both make my second team All-Pro. They haven't made a team of the week yet, but hey, I only get to choose 2 safeties for that. Bates has been good. Bell has been good. Logan Wilson's I think has 3 picks. There's a lot going right for the Bengals, and they are tied for first in the AFC North. And if I'd made this 3 hours from now, they would be first. So congratulations. The Bengals are doing something right. The Seattle Seahawks come in at 18. I think this is where my cutoff is. I think there are 18 teams I could see make the playoffs, and I wouldn't be surprised. Cincinnati and New England can jump into that realm. Pittsburgh and Washington, same sort of thing. If they get better offensive play and their defense comes alive. The teams below Seattle, they need something else to click. Or Cincinnati just needs to prove that they're not the Bengals anymore. The top 18, I think any of these teams can make the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised. If Seattle goes in and beats San Francisco, I'm not surprised at all. Russell Wilson's great. Lockett and DK got going against Minnesota finally, but this defense, the last 6 quarters has been awful. Just Derrick Henry ran all over you, then Alexander Madison ran all over you, then Justin Jefferson ran all over you, and Kirk Cousins balled out, and Tannehill was unbelievable. Figure it out, Seattle. Figure it out. You're higher than Pittsburgh and Washington because I know your offense is going to be good. The other two teams, they're so bad offensively, and then the defense gets tired out by that. At least with Seattle, I know the offense is going to ball out. 17, Dallas. I got some pushback on this on Instagram. One of my Jeremy, my coworker at Primetime Sports Talk, he posted a graphic for this. Why is Dallas at 17? They beat the Chargers, and the Chargers are six spots higher, spoiler alert, and they barely lost to the Bucs. Okay, if they barely lose to the Bucs, then why didn't they barely beat the Chargers, huh? I don't know why you're going to pick and choose like that, but Dak is good. The offense is good. Offensive line's been great. Tyron Smith was awesome. Zach Martin was awesome week 2. Nothing to complain about on offense. I don't love Zeke, but as I recycle my joke with Tony Pollard, defensively, they're coming around. They're coming around, but here's my thing with Dallas. They have matched my expectations to a T. I had them beating Tampa. They didn't, but that was a Brady thing more than a Cowboys thing. Then I said, don't bet on Dallas Chargers or Cowboys Chargers. Don't bet on it. It's going to be a 3-point game either way. I don't know which way it's going to go. They won by 3. Congratulations. If Justin Herbert doesn't throw a stupid interception, they probably lose. And then they smack the Eagles. Okay, the Eagles are a bottom 5 team. What do you want me to do? So they've fit everything to a T, but I think Carolina beats them this week. If they win, cool. They'll be moving up, and we won't have this conversation again. But I need to see it one more week for Dallas. They've played exactly to my expectation. My expectation this week is Carolina beats them by a field goal. So ball is in your court, Dallas. Minnesota back to 16. They were unfortunate to start 0-2. They are now 1-2 with a big win over Seattle. Kirk Cousins has been playing really well. Justin Jefferson got back to his form. Alexander Mattison looked pretty solid. Dalvin Cook was out. He's still in the pros because he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. They have Cleveland this week, so you might be an unlucky 1-3, but a couple of those games you're playing just top 10 teams. So how do you judge? So I have them moving up. Good defensive performance against Seattle, and great. They've been awesome offensively. Carolina, they are number 1 in points allowed per game. They are number 1 in rush yards allowed per game. They are number 1 in pass yards allowed per game, and that means they're number 1 in total defense. Sam Darnold's been playing well, too. So there's some reasons I have them at 15 because they started so low, and priors matter somewhat to me, right? It's week 3. If it was week 10, it doesn't matter what I thought of Carolina coming into the season. I'm going to judge them on the 10 games they've played, the 9 games they've played. But I didn't think they were good coming into the season. They looked good week 1. They looked good week 2. They looked good week 3. Okay, they were up 12 spots. They're one of the biggest moving teams in the entire list. Shaq Thompson has been unreal. They are without McCaffrey. They will be without J.C. Horn. They did add C.J. Henderson. So you bring something in. So they've answered everything you can throw at them for 3 weeks. They have a big test against Dallas coming up. Denver, same boat as Carolina. Awesome defense. Offense has been moving a lot better than I thought it would. Teddy Bridgewater's doing things. Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams have been weird, but that's fine. Courtland Sutton is Courtland Sutton. Tim Patrick has been really good. And Denver is taking care of business. They played teams 32, 31, and 30. They've beaten those teams soundly. There has not been a moment in the 12 quarters they've played that Denver looks like they're going to lose. Nope. They controlled the game against the Giants. They can control the Jags. They can control the Jets. Nothing more I can really ask for there. They played Baltimore this week at Mile High. Denver is favored. This is where the season begins for Denver. Are you a serious contender in the AFC? You go out, beat Baltimore. You go out and play well defensively. You move the ball on offense. You can beat Baltimore. Baltimore is not invincible by any means. Go out and beat Baltimore now, and you'll be probably top 10 team, top 8 team. Who knows? The New Orleans Saints. Defensive, this is awesome. I was correct. I was bang on correct with how good this defense was. I thought this is a loaded defense. Just look at the talent. Look at Demario Davis. He's been awesome. Cameron Jordan's been awesome. They did lose Hendrickson, but who cares? And then the secondary has been spectacular. This is one that I think people just didn't realize how good. They didn't account for how many good players the Saints have. Gardner Johnson, good player. Marshawn Lattimore has been He's been cornerback 1 this year. Who would have thought that? Maybe someone that had him in his top 100. I'm going to take a victory lap here. Yeah, I dropped him to 17 after they lost like 10 coaches to Carolina. But look, this defense is legit, man. They are awesome. The secondary is great. Linebacking core is great. And then the front has been getting good, solid pass rush. Cameron Jordan had like 9 pressures. Offense are a mess. It's Jameis. It's the Jameis experience all over again. Kamara is good. They're without Thomas. The offense is going to be hit or miss. The defense is really good, man. This defense is awesome. Malcolm Jenkins back there as well. Number 12, San Francisco. I got a lot of flack for putting them at 12 after a 2-0 start. Well, we're 2-0. How are we below the Seahawks? They're 1-1. Okay, you're not going to complain about the Seahawks anymore, but you lost to Green Bay, right? In theory, right? If you lose, you should drop. Nope. You have I don't want to say a fluky loss, but a team has to lose or tie. A team has to have a negative result, right? San Francisco happened to have a negative result. They came against the third best team in the NFL. Okay, cool. Defensively, been kind of hit with injuries. Josh Norman was really good and they got injured. Offensively, they've been healthy outside of the running back room. Jimmy Garoppolo has been whatever. George Kittle's been good. Offensive line's been great. Trent Williams, shout out to Trent Williams. Like, and Tomlinson's been productive. This is just like a good team. I don't think they have Super Bowl upside right now because Garoppolo, but this is just a good team. And that's the thing. Like I said with Seattle, that there's 18 teams that could make the playoffs. If San Francisco goes 11-6 and makes the playoffs, I'm not surprised. Number 11, the Los Angeles Chargers played really well against Kansas City. Yes, they had some fluky turnover luck. I get it. But Justin Herbert balled out. Mike Williams balled out. Joey Bosa balled out. Three of your most important positions balled out. Rashawn Slater looks like he belongs in the NFL. This is a good Chargers team. This is a good again, like I said with San Francisco, there's a lot of good teams. So 11 doesn't necessarily reflect, oh, this is a top tier team. This is a good Chargers team. They are well-rounded. Offensively, they can move the ball. Defensively, they can stop you. They can force turnovers. Asante Samuel, 2 picks already. Nothing to complain about for the Chargers. Number 10, Vegas. Now, note, Chargers, Raiders. Chargers, Raiders. They play this week, Monday Night Football. Raiders at Chargers. Winner is going to be a top 10 team. Loser may or may not be, depending on who else loses. The Raiders, to me, I don't want to act like I was right on the Raiders because I wasn't. I think they are the team that's moved up the most. Because I had them right where I think I had them where Carolina was, but they've moved up like 17 spots. So I was wrong. But if you're as good as 10, I think you should have beaten Miami. You shouldn't have let Miami stick around. They were down 14-0 to start with, which isn't entirely their fault, but Miami could have won the game in overtime. They were like, I don't know. This is a weird team that is very close to being 1-2. They're 3-0, and you're going to say, well, you have to give them credit. They're 3-0. Carlson made a 55-yard field goal. Otherwise, they lose to Baltimore, and then you're not having any issues with Baltimore. And in this game, Jonathan Abram nearly got torched right at the very end on a deep ball that you could have lost this game to Miami. And it's a shaky 3-0. It is a shaky 3-0. They're 3-0. Congratulations, but it's a shaky 3-0. Tennessee at 9. I do have them dropping a spot because Arizona looked Arizona's the next team. Arizona looked great. Took care of business. Simple as that. They didn't have Julio. They didn't have AJ Brown. Didn't matter. Arizona's at 8. Kyler's been Kyler. He's playing well. He's been a top 10 quarterback this year. And yeah, they have a tough matchup against the Rams, but this is a kind of thing that I don't expect them to beat the Rams. So if they lose, let's say, I don't know, the Rams win by 10. Okay, the Cardinals are going to be like 9 next week. So congratulations. The Cardinals have established themselves as a good football team. Baltimore at 7. Yes, I know they only beat Detroit by 2, but as I touched on with, I guess I touched on it with Lamar. So again, Lamar Jackson. This Baltimore if they had like a checkbox, they had like a checklist of goals they had against Detroit. They checked off everything. I know they almost lost, and if Justin Tucker doesn't make a 66-yard field goal, they lose. I understand that, but don't think of it as they barely beat Detroit. Think of it as they did everything they wanted to do against Detroit, because we know they can run the football. We know they are unstoppable on the ground. Even when they lose, they are unstoppable on the ground. No team in the last 3 years has really figured out how to stop Baltimore's rushing attack. It's outscore them early and force Lamar to throw, and then you sometimes beat them. They came back, 10-point comeback against Tennessee in the playoffs, 10-point comeback against Kansas City last week. Who knows? Lamar led another game-winning drive. I hate game-winning drives as a stat. I've been through that on a variety of platforms, but if you do like game-winning drives, Lamar has 2, probably should have had 3. Sorry. Lamar was spectacular. This is a game that if Lamar plays like this every week, I know it was against a bad Detroit defense, but if he plays like this every week, he's a lot higher than 6 in my quarterback rankings. So he was awesome. Andrews was great. Powers was great. Bozeman was great. Clark was great. Villanueva was terrible. Queen was terrible. The linebackers are a mess. Like LJ Fort is one of the biggest missing spot pieces in the NFL, and he plays linebacker. Who would have thought? Big game against Denver coming up. So in theory, you can beat Denver. Denver's been good this season, so who knows? Number 6, the Cleveland Browns. They are down a spot, but this is one of the weirdest teams in the NFL because I don't see the weakness. Like, they have a good quarterback, they have good running backs, they have good receivers when healthy, good tight ends, the best offensive line in the NFL, good defensive line play. The linebacker, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I think was the highest graded defensive player this week. Linebacker play is improving, and the talent in the defensive back room is off the charts. Troy Hill, John Johnson, Greedy Williams, Denzel Ward. I know not all of them are playing at that level, but the talent is there, and this is a New Orleans thing that I'm going to bet on the talent every day of the week. Even a Green Bay thing. I'll get to Green Bay in a minute, but man, this is a fun team to watch. I know 26-6 wasn't necessarily the most indicative of that because Chicago couldn't move the football, but hey, Cleveland's the reason why they couldn't move the football. Big time game from Garrett, big time game from Conklin. Kareem Hunt was awesome too. So I can't think of a con with this team for what that's worth. Number 5, the Buffalo Bills are back, ladies and gentlemen. They're back in the top 5. Josh Allen was unreal against Washington, and they're favored by 16.5. This is a Week 4 game. They are favored by 16.5 over Houston. You can't even throw it in your parlays because you're like losing money on it. So Buffalo looked great against Washington. And not a whole lot more to say. This is where I had the Bills to start, either 4 or 5, but point taken. Kansas City. Here's my defense for why they're number 4. It's not a talent thing. Even defensively, I have con defense. Yes, it's a Spagnuolo thing. Talent-wise, defensively, they're still a solid defense. They're good enough to be number 4 because they're awesome offensively. Yes, they're 1 and 2. Yes, they're 4th in the AFC West. Yes, I understand all of those things. But if Odafe Owe doesn't make the play of the week against Baltimore, Butker makes the field goal and they win. If Kansas City doesn't get unlucky on 4 different drives, they beat the Chargers. They probably beat the Chargers. So they have been historically unlucky on 5 turnover drives in 3 quarters, and they've lost 2 games. Okay, cool. You know how many times they've gotten lucky on those drives and they just don't happen? Like AJ Terrell drops an interception in the end zone. That's the one I always go to. Yeah, it's happened a bazillion times. So the Chiefs finally have that like luck backtrack against them and swing the other direction. This is a good Chiefs team. They might finish 15-2. Like, I have no worries about the Chiefs. Yes, they're down to 4, but that's an NFC thing, not a Chiefs thing. So I get it, but this Spagnuolo defense, it's going to work in November. It's going to work in December, and I still think the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl. 3, Green Bay. They took care of business against San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers was Aaron Rodgers when he mattered. Kevin King didn't play, which is probably the best thing to happen. I have no ill will to say of Kevin King as a person. I'm sure he's great. I'm sure he shakes hands well. But he can't play cornerback in the NFL, man. Eric Stokes looked good against San Francisco. I hope King is healthy, but I need him to be a healthy scratch moving forward because he is a train wreck of a offensive or train wreck of a corner, and he just gets picked on by any competent quarterback like Aaron Rodgers would. Imagine if Aaron Rodgers played Kevin King, he would have like 50 touchdowns in 5 minutes. So you have Pittsburgh, tough defense, but I think Green Bay can handle it. Number 2, Tampa is off of its top pedestal spot. You can guess who number 1 is. Defensive injuries. It's been Sean Murphy-Bunting is out. Richard Sherman is in town now. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. Jamel Dean left week 3 with an injury. Carlton Davis got burned on a touchdown. And then the offense has been fine. They only scored 24 points against the Rams, but weird scoring game, missed a field goals, stuff like that. Brady had the weird strip sack that if that was any other time than a minute to go in the second quarter, that's a big play for Fournette, either Fournette or Bernard. Because I don't know what happened to Ronald Jones. He's just been awful this year. This front 7 is not as good as it was last year. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. Vea is back, and you think, okay, it should be better, but it just hasn't been the same. Offensively, they're good. Offensively, they are as good as it gets. They're Chiefs, Packers tier of offense. But defensively, they've just been a step slow. They've been I don't know what's wrong with it, but the front 7 hasn't been quite as good as it needs to be for what that's worth. So they have a tough trip to Foxborough, Sunday Night Football. That should be very fun. Brady's going to break the passing yards record. But I don't know. And at number 1, we have the Los Angeles Rams. I remember in the offseason, I got hate. Why are you putting them at 3? They haven't proven anything. Stafford can't win big games. Okay. This is not a lie. This was the biggest game. This was the biggest home game of Matt Stafford's career. Matt Stafford's been in the NFL since 2009. This is the game against Tampa was the biggest home game of his entire career. There's not been a game with more stakes than this one that he's played at home. Yeah, he's played in some playoff games. All those have been on the road. Yeah, he's played in some like NFC North games. The Lions were never serious division contenders. Like, this is a huge win. And he was great. Austin Corbett was great. Aaron Donald, I could have put an infinite line of Aaron Donalds, and it wouldn't be enough credit to give to Donald because he is a massive difference maker. Jalen Ramsey is still Jalen Ramsey. So, yeah, there we have it. That is my week 3 power rankings. Hour 17. I'm a little surprised it's not longer. My voice is dying. With that said, guys, make sure you like the stream, subscribe to the channel, smash that notification bell, ring-a-ding-ding, that Le'Veon bell. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and make sure you check out the dope merch. There's a Zach Wilson shirt. This is a Lamar Jackson flip touchdown. So yeah, with that said, enjoy. Actually, I'm going to do a little Thursday night preview. Bengals win big. Congratulations. That'll be the end of our show. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure you tune in at an indeterminate point in the future when I'm back on camera.